These Squid Game players seem good, but they're actually way more evil than you think, starting with one nobody expects. Shiecho Sang-woo. This guy fooled his neighborhood, but not the audience. His evil was written all over his face from day one. Sang-woo came into the games with this reputation as the golden boy. Smart, successful, the pride of his community. Everyone back home thought he was this brilliant guy who would never do anything wrong. Even Gi-hun looked up to him like some kind of role model. But anyone paying attention could see, though, the cracks immediately. He was calculating every single move from the moment he walked in. During Dalgona, he figured out what the honeycomb shapes meant and didn't tell anyone. Just let people pick randomly and die because it benefited him. Then came the marble game where he straight up betrayed Ollie in the most cold-blooded way possible, tricked this innocent guy who trusted him completely, swapped out his marbles for rocks and watched him get executed. No remorse, no hesitation, just pure manipulation. The final straw was murdering Zebyok while she was wounded and defenseless, slit her throat like she was nothing because she threatened his chances of winning. His intelligence made his evil calculated rather than impulsive. Every betrayal was planned. Every manipulation was strategic. At least his evil was obvious once you knew what to look for, unlike people whose good intentions became deadly weapons.
Feels safer like that, doesn't it? Yeah.
Abdul Ali. Sometimes good intentions will pave the road to hell, and Ali's naivety nearly got everyone killed. This guy seemed like the purest soul in that entire nightmare. Hard-working migrant trying to support his family, genuinely kind to everyone, always willing to help. He saved Gi-hun's life during the first game without thinking twice about it. That's just who he was. But here's the thing about dangerous innocence. Ali's blind trust didn't just get him killed, it put other people at risk too. In a death game where everyone's trying to survive, being that naive becomes a liability for your entire team. During the tug of war, his willingness to follow anyone who seemed nice could have gotten his whole team eliminated. In the marble game, his complete trust in Sang-woo wasn't just stupid, it was reckless. Any reasonable person would have been suspicious. The worst part is that his carelessness wasn't just about him. When you're that trusting in a place designed to kill people, you're essentially helping the manipulators do their job. You're making it easier for evil people to succeed. His dangerous innocence enabled Sang-woo's evil by being such an easy target. In a game where survival depends on reading people correctly, being that gullible becomes its own form of harm. But careless trust is nothing compared to people who chose violence and called it justice.
Sang-woo, where are you?
Ji Jeong. Her selfless death made everyone forget what she was capable of. But murder is murder, no matter the reason. Ji Young won everyone over with her sacrifice for Sae-byuk, this beautiful moment where she deliberately lost the marble game so her friend could live. Everyone walked away thinking she was this pure, selfless angel who chose love over survival. Except everyone conveniently forgot what she revealed during that same conversation. This sweet girl who sacrificed herself for friendship had already killed someone before the games even started. Her own father. Sure, he was abusive. Sure, she was defending herself and her mother. But she still took a human life with her own hands. She knew what it felt like to watch someone die because of her actions. That's not something you just get over. The fact that she could sacrifice herself so easily might not have been pure selflessness. Maybe it was guilt. Maybe she thought she deserved to die for what she'd done. Maybe her whole sweet act was just someone trying to make up for past violence. Her capacity for cold-blooded killing was already proven before she ever stepped foot in those games. Self-sacrifice doesn't erase the fact that she knew how to end a life when she thought it was justified. At least she killed for protection, unlike people who use comedy to hide their deadly intentions. Han Minyo. Loud people use noise to hide their deadly intentions, and this woman was the loudest of them all. Minyo seemed like comic relief for most of the games. This crazy, outspoken woman who said whatever came to mind and acted like she was just trying to survive through chaos and luck. Her outrageous behavior made her seem harmless, even funny, but every single thing she did was calculated manipulation. She attached herself to whoever had power at the moment, then switched sides the instant it benefited her. Used her loud personality to make people underestimate her intelligence. During the riot, she wasn't just defending herself. She was actively stirring up trouble and using the chaos to position herself better. When she hooked up with Deok-soo, it wasn't love or even attraction. It was pure strategies to align with the strongest player. The murder-suicide with Deok-soo proved what she really was underneath all that noise. When he betrayed her, she didn't just get revenge. She planned out their deaths perfectly, waited for the right moment, then executed both of them with zero hesitation. Her comedy was perfect camouflage for someone who could kill without blinking. She used people's laughter to make them forget how dangerous she really was. Speaking of people who use mysticism to hide their true nature.
Grandma? Don't you ever call me that!
Essien. Sometimes the craziest person is also the most dangerous, and religious delusion makes everything worse. Seonyo came across as this quirky spiritual figure who was just trying to spread positivity and peace in a horrible situation. Her mystical beliefs made her seem harmless, like she was above all the violence and scheming happening around her. But she used her spiritual worldview to justify some truly twisted behavior. Whenever she wanted to manipulate someone or eliminate a threat, she'd frame it as following some cosmic plan or spiritual calling. Made herself feel righteous about doing evil things. She got involved in psychological manipulation campaigns against other players, using her mystical authority to mess with people's heads. Convinced other contestants that certain players were cursed or spiritually dangerous, turning the group against them. When it came time to take out rivals, she justified threats and schemes through her belief system. Made it seem like the universe wanted these people gone, so she was just following divine will by helping it happen. Her religious delusion enabled her to feel good about being evil. She convinced herself that everything cruel she did was actually spiritual justice, which made her even more dangerous than people who knew they were being awful. Nope, but at least she was obviously unhinged. Unlike people who use charm to hide their criminal history. Namgyu. The most dangerous people are often the ones everyone likes, and this guy was universally loved. Namgyu seemed like the perfect teammate from the moment he showed up. Outgoing, social, friendly to everyone. He had this natural charisma that made people want to trust him and include him in their plans. Seemed like the kind of guy who would have your back no matter what. But his popularity was built on a foundation of lies. This dude had a serious criminal history that he kept hidden from everyone. Multiple arrests, history of violence, pattern of betraying people who trusted him. His whole friendly act was just a mask. During the games, he used his likability to get inside information from other players, and sold them out the moment it benefited him. He'd make friends with people, learn their strategies and weaknesses, then use that knowledge to eliminate them. His intimidation tactics were subtle but effective. He knew how to make threats without seeming threatening, how to manipulate people without them realizing they were being played. His criminal experience taught him exactly how to exploit trust. The scariest part was how good he was at it. People genuinely believed he cared about them right up until the moment he betrayed them. His charisma became a weapon for systematic exploitation. But criminals with obvious history are easier to spot than people in positions of authority who abuse their power. Captain Park. The people supposed to protect you are often the most dangerous. Authority makes betrayal even worse. Captain Park seemed like one of the few genuinely good people involved in this whole mess. Caring, resourceful, always trying to help both contestants and staff. He appeared to have moral standards and genuine concern for human life, but his helpful facade was hiding collaboration and systematic violence behind the scenes. While he was acting concerned and supportive to people's faces, he was actively enabling the atrocities that kept the games running smoothly. The betrayal of Junho was the clearest example of his true nature. This guy who seemed trustworthy and moral sold out someone who was trying to expose the truth and save lives, did it without hesitation when it served his interest. He was involved in covering up murders, allowing torture, and maintaining the system that killed hundreds of people. His authority position gave him the power to stop or at least limit the violence, but he chose to protect himself instead. The worst part was how he used his caring act to manipulate people into trusting him, made victims feel safe right before he sold them out to their killers. His position of authority made the betrayal even more devastating. Speaking of people who use their job to prey on desperate people.
당신 누구야? 정체가 뭐야?
The recruiter. The most evil person might be the very first one you meet, and this guy turned human desperation when into personal entertainment. The suit man seemed charming and helpful when he approached people to recruit them for the games, presented himself as someone offering a legitimate opportunity for desperate people to turn their lives around, made it seem like he was doing them a favor. But everything about his approach was designed to maximize psychological damage. The slap games weren't just recruitment tools, they were sadistic entertainment for him. He got genuine pleasure from watching people humiliate themselves for money. His recruitment tactics were pure manipulation. He specifically targeted people at their lowest moments, when they were most vulnerable and least likely to think clearly. Used their desperation against them to make the game seem like their only option. The most disturbing part was how much he enjoyed it. This wasn't just a job for him, it was a hobby. He took personal pride in how many people he could trick into signing up for their own deaths. Made it into a game within the game. He turned desperate people's hope into his personal entertainment. Every person who died in those games was partly his responsibility, and he loved every minute of it. But at least his evil was part of his job description, unlike people who were supposed to be helping their teammates. Player 017. Knowledge is power and power reveals true character. Even helpful people have breaking points. Player 017 seemed like a genuine hero during the Glass Bridge game. His expertise with glass made him the one person who could potentially save everyone. For a while, he stepped up and tried to use his knowledge to help people survive. But when the pressure got intense and the lights went out, his true nature started showing. He began considering whether he should actually help people or use them as human shields to protect himself. Started thinking about withholding information out of resentment. The fact that he even contemplated sacrificing other people shows what was really going on in his head. When survival became personal, his helpful act disappeared pretty quickly. His expertise made him feel superior to everyone else. He started resenting the other players for depending on him and putting pressure on him to save them, like he deserved special treatment because he had a useful knowledge. That resentment could have easily turned into active sabotage. Even genuinely helpful people have selfish breaking points, where they'll consider using others for their own benefit. His moment of contemplating sacrifice revealed what he was capable of under pressure. But momentary selfishness is nothing compared to people who spent years perfecting their deception.
또 다른 건 소리예요. 강화혈이는 700도 이상의 고혈에서 만들어지기 때문에.
Gramps. Never trust someone who seems too innocent to survive here. Age became the perfect disguise for evil. Gramps came across as this sweet, harmless old man who was clearly out of his depth in the deadly games. His gentle demeanor and grandfatherly appearance made everyone want to protect him. It seemed like he needed help just to understand what was happening. But his innocent act was hiding years of cunning manipulation and self-serving schemes. This guy had been playing people his whole life, and age just made him better at it. Nobody suspects a sweet old man of being dangerous. He got involved in secret partnerships and backroom deals with other players, always positioning himself to benefit while others took the risks. When someone became a threat to his plans, he didn't hesitate to try eliminating them. His age and apparent frailty became perfect camouflage for calculated manipulation. People underestimated him because they saw a helpless old man instead of an experienced schemer who knew exactly how to exploit their sympathy. The scariest part was how long he'd probably been doing this. Decades of practice at making people trust him while he planned their downfall. His whole gentle grandfather act was just the latest version of a lifelong con. Elderly manipulation is disturbing because it violates our basic instincts to protect vulnerable people, but corruption among anonymous players is somehow even worse. Kim Jong-hee. Pregnancy became her perfect weapon for manipulation. Vulnerability was just another strategy for survival. Junhee seemed like the most sympathetic player in the entire game. Heavily pregnant, abandoned by her ex, orphaned childhood, she had every reason to deserve protection and help from other contestants. Players like Gi-hun went out of their way to shield her from danger because she appeared so vulnerable and innocent. But her pregnancy wasn't just a condition, it was a strategic advantage she weaponized at every opportunity. She consistently played up her tragic circumstances to gain sympathy votes during eliminations, secure protective alliances, and avoid being seen as a threat by other players. Every sob story was perfectly timed to maximum effect. The most telling behavior was how she survived by hiding during violent confrontations while letting stronger players eliminate each other. She had stepped back and watch others fight to the death, then emerge when it was safe to continue. That's not survival instinct, that's calculated manipulation of human decency. Her pattern of sitting out dangerous situations while others took life-threatening risks reveals someone who was quietly ruthless behind her innocent facade. She used other people's protective instincts against them, turning their kindness into her competitive advantage. Her vulnerability was performative, designed to make others do the dirty work of survival while she stayed clean and sympathetic.
전 지금 제 아이 지키려는 거예요. 도와주세요.
But younger guy, the oath to do no harm means nothing when money's involved. Medical knowledge became a tool for horror. Byung-gi seemed like exactly what you'd want in a deadly situation. A skilled doctor who could help people survive injuries and medical emergencies. His expertise made him valuable to other players who thought he might save their lives, but he was using his medical knowledge for the exact opposite of healing. Instead of helping the living, he was dissecting the dead for profit. Turned his surgical skills into a butcher shop operation for harvesting organs. The organ trafficking scheme was the most disturbing corruption in the entire show because it violated everything medical professionals are supposed to represent. He took people who died in agony and treated their bodies like merchandise. His medical training made his evil uniquely horrifying because he knew exactly what he was doing to these corpses. Every cut was precise. Every extraction was professional. He turned healing into harm with surgical precision. The worst part was how easily he justified it to himself. Probably convinced himself that these people were already dead, and so using their bodies for profit wasn't really hurting anyone. Medical knowledge enabled him to rationalize the most disturbing crimes. But professional corruption pales next to the evil that emerges from personal relationships under pressure.
잡소리치고 추고 이거나 제대로 잡아!
Player 069, losing everything exposed who he really was underneath the loving facade. Grief revealed his true character. Player 069 seemed like a devoted husband who genuinely loved his wife. They came into the games together, supported each other through the horror, and appeared to have a strong marriage that would help them survive whatever came next. But when the marble game forced them to play against each other, his true nature started emerging. After he won and his wife was executed, instead of pure grief, he showed disturbing patterns of anger and resentment toward her. He started blaming her for their situation, like it was somehow her fault that they ended up in the games together. Even though he was partially responsible for her death, he found ways to make himself the victim and her the problem. His anger toward his dead wife revealed deep-seated issues that had probably been festering in their marriage for years. The extreme pressure just brought out resentment that was already there underneath the loving husband act. The fact that he could blame her for dying when he was the one who killed her shows a level of psychological dysfunction that goes way beyond normal grief. His suicide wasn't just guilt, it was the culmination of a toxic relationship dynamic. But the most shocking evil was hiding among the most forgettable people of all.
당신들이 사람이야. 정말 이 미친 짓을 계속하겠다는 거야?
Player 271. The most twisted reveal came from someone nobody even remembered. Sometimes the people you pity most deserve it least. Player 271 was so anonymous that most viewers probably forgot he existed the moment he died. Just another faceless victim of the food riot, another casualty of the violence that erupted when people got desperate and scared. But he wasn't just a victim of that riot, he was one of the perpetrators who made it happen. This guy actively participated in escalating the violence far beyond anything resembling self-defense. He chose to be part of the problem. When the fighting started, instead of trying to calm things down or just protect himself, he saw an opportunity to hurt people and took it. Used the chaos as cover to commit violence he probably wanted to do anyway. His death wasn't the tragic loss of an innocent person caught in the crossfire. It was justice served on someone who chose to make a bad situation worse by adding to the violence instead of trying to stop it. The most disturbing part is that he was completely forgettable until you realize what he actually did. He looked like any other scared contestant, but underneath that ordinary appearance was someone who enjoyed hurting people when he thought he could get away with it. Sometimes the people you feel sorry for are exactly the ones who deserve what they got. Evil doesn't always announce itself with dramatic speeches and obvious villainy. If you enjoyed this video and want to see every deserved death in Squid Game, click the video on the screen.